Hello, everyone. So, got a new story today. The blueprint. Musk and Ramaswamy lay out DOGE's plan to reform the government. Let's see what it is. What is that diamond in the middle of the...
And it's time for the hot topic of the hour. President-elect Trump filling up his cabinet with two...
Why does this woman look like she just woke up? What's happening with her hair? What's going on here?
New appointments. Former acting attorney general under Trump, Matt Whitaker, tapped as NATO ambassador. He'll be tasked with pressuring countries in the alliance to increase their defense spending, renewing an effort Trump undertook in his first term. Trump also nominating Michigan GOP chair Pete Hoekstra for U.S. ambassador to Canada. Hoekstra was the U.S. ambassador to the Netherlands during Trump's first term after serving 18 years as a Michigan congressman.
Jesus Christ. I guess retirement is no longer a thing. Some people are just too old, man.
He also chaired the House Intelligence Committee for a moment. VP-elect Vance returning to Capitol Hill today, meeting with senators about cabinet nominees, securing support for Defense Secretary nominee Pete.
J.D. Vance just always looks like a fat dude that lost a lot of weight. just his face is just so round.
Then Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz, who met with Senate Judiciary Committee
already dropped out
members yesterday.
Now we have Pam Bondi
with incoming Majority Leader John Thune. The House Ethics Committee failing to reach an agreement over whether to release the report on its investigation into Matt Gaetz's alleged sexual misconduct allegations. Outgoing Pennsylvania Congresswoman Susan Wild says the matter is not closed and the committee is reconvening on December 5th. Illinois Congressman Sean Casten, meanwhile, pushing for a floor vote to...
Does her face look so tight? Did she get some work done? Is that what... Looks like it's pinched in some places. Like the skin was stapled.
Force the release of that report. Meanwhile, the search is on for the next Treasury Secretary. An announcement could come by the end of this week. Trump met with Apollo Global CEO Mark Rowan yesterday as new reports reveal he's looking more seriously at Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, who was spotted in Texas with the president-elect at Elon Musk's SpaceX launch Tuesday. Other contenders include former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh and Scott Bessent.
Hold on a second. Former Federal Reserve Governor, Apollo Global Management CEO? The hell is Apollo Global? Key Square Capital Management CEO and Tennessee Senator. So just two businessmen and two politicians.
Founder of hedge fund Key Square Group. The president-elect also reportedly mulling a position dedicated solely to cryptocurrency policy, which would interact with regulators, including the Securities and Exchange.
The lady speaking looks like she has the advanced form of whatever Trump's comb-over is.
Commission and the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. Trump also expected to name Russ Vought as director of the Office of Management and Budget. Vought would be in charge of developing the proposed budget and implementing the president's agenda across the federal government.
Did they surprise him with this picture? Does he look like that?
Having a large influence on the agencies, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy's Department of Government Efficiency want to cut or eliminate. Got a lot coming up this morning on all of that. Trisha, your reaction?
Anyone who hasn't yet read that Wall Street Journal piece by Vivek
Where's she looking?
Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, I highly recommend it. Very much a blueprint for how they're going to cost.
Sounds like she has a cold.
Cut savings, cut regulations, cut personnel. It's going to be very essential, but also looking at the mechanics of this. While it's going to be on the outside of government, Vivek and Elon, they also are going to have people embedded, definitely lawyers. I don't think that they could have gotten this done during the first Trump administration because they didn't have some of that Supreme Court precedent, like West Virginia versus EPA, which is basically saying some of these federal regulations simply are not constitutional.
Yeah, and Musk and Vivek laid it out, as you said, in that op-ed this morning in the Wall Street Journal. It's their vision for the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. The agency will pursue three major kinds of reform: regulatory recessions, administrative reductions, and cost savings. There'll be a focus on driving change through executive action based on existing legislation rather than by passing new laws.
Drive changes from existing legislation, cut amount of federal employees, end unauthorized federal spending, conduct audits, and examine federal contracts. These are all good things. Someone that's worked for the government, I can tell you a lot of what they do, because essentially they're playing with not their own money, so they don't really give a shit. They're not very efficient. They don't care about spending. They'll throw money at a problem any day of the week because it's unending. In their view, it's just free money. It's unending. It's not their money, so they manage it like it's not their money. Like, think about all the rich men that get married to some beautiful supermodel, and all of a sudden they're buying a bunch. Their income spending just goes up because she's spending way more money than he was spending by himself. Why? Because she's not having to work to do the work to earn the money in the first place, so she doesn't have to worry about where it's coming from. In her view, it's unending, so she's just spending it like it's water. She thinks of a new thing she wants, buy it. Why not? She doesn't have to worry about a budget. She doesn't have to worry about what the money is coming from. That's all his concern. And in her mind, he's going to stop her when it gets too much, so she can spend unending. And that's pretty much how government employees think, especially when they're managing the money. They just spend unendingly. And another thing that they do, there's a certain allotment of money that they get. They have a budget. And for sometimes that budget gets cut depending on how much they spend. So they don't spend enough of the money, their budget can be reduced because they obviously show through their spending that they no longer need that amount of money. That's where you get the ridiculous spending, where they just start buying a bunch of nonsense just so they can keep their budget, as long as their spending stay the same. Because people that's overseeing these things, all they're doing is looking at numbers. They're not looking at the itemized list of what is the money's being spent on. They're just looking at numbers. They're like, oh, look at this. This administration needs this much amount of money because this is how much they're spending. Oh, it looks like they're coming up against their budget every single time. Maybe they need more money to do what they need to do, without thinking about how much wasted spending is going on, because everyone is just playing with someone else's money. And plus, they're getting paid way more from the government than they pay in taxes anyway. So it's just free money. It's profit all around. So this is great. This is a great thing.
It will focus on cutting the federal workforce, identifying the minimum number of workers to perform agency functions, and require employees to come into the office 5 days a week. The agency will work to end federal overspending by taking aim at the $500 billion plus in federal expenditures that are unauthorized by Congress. They'll also...
I know a guy that worked for the government that he was telling me he was working from home, and pretty much how they track how he's working is by, I think they were like tracking his mouse activity or whatever, and he just had a program on his computer that pretty much moved the mouse for him. So he was doing practically zero work while working from home. I think that was happening during COVID. He was doing that during COVID, but it probably something that's continuing on from COVID until now, because people got so comfortable with it, where they can pretty much defraud the government, where they're doing no work and they're getting paid.
Conduct large-scale audits of unexamined federal contracts during a temporary suspension of payments. Vivek Ramaswamy told me a bit about it on Sunday. Watch.
We want to go right in through executive action to do the failures of the executive branch that need to be addressed. Because the dirty little secret right now, Maria, is the people we elect to run the government, they're not the ones who actually run the government. It's the unelected bureaucrats in the administrative state. That was created through executive action. It's going to be fixed through executive action. So we're going to be cutting costs. Over $500 billion that's spent every year right now was not even authorized by Congress in the first place. Part of this is exposing for the public the extent of that rot and waste, but then to take steps first through executive action and then laying the groundwork for broader change through legislation as well to rein in that deficit, to rein in that budget. We expect mass reductions. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. We expect mass reductions in force in areas.
This is all good stuff, man. This is all good stuff. It's about time somebody does this, because we have a national debt that keeps going up, and they're constantly throwing money to different wars. it's just like there's a whole bunch of spending that's just wasted because no one thinks about where it's coming from. They're just inventing money out of nowhere, so who cares, right?
Areas of the federal government that are bloated. We expect massive cuts among federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government.
So like you think people are like, oh, well, they're not really going to increase our taxes because of all this government overspending. They're not going to increase taxes on a national level, but on a local level, you have your mayors that can increase your property taxes because they need more money for whatever nonsense because they're overspending. It's just, you got to cut down all these things so that they have enough money and they can't spend in a way that is not transparent and people can't see how they're wasting their money and how they're going to try to fleece them for more money after they do it. You know, so this is a perfect thing that we should have had from the beginning, but at least we're having it now.
Government.
Yesterday, Musk posted on X that he shared famed economist Milton Friedman's opinion about how bloated government has become, writing Milton Friedman was the best, and shared this interview.
Department of Agriculture.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Commerce.
Abolish.
Gone. Department of Defense.
Keep.
Keep it. Department of Education.
Abolish.
Gone. Energy.
Abolish.
From 14 departments down to 2.
It's a tiny man.
Basic fundamental functions. What are its fundamental functions? Preserve the peace, defend the country.
All right.
Provide a mechanism whereby individuals can adjudicate their disputes. That's the Justice Department. Protect individuals from being coerced by other individuals. The police function.
Great that Musk tweeted out that interview. Mark Tepper, your reaction?
Well, I mean, the great thing about Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy is that they are business owners, right? They understand dollars and cents. And when you look at, this whole potential of us...
This man's eyebrows is worse than mine. At least half of mine is visible. This is scary.
Eliminating government agencies outright. You got to ask yourself a question. Do these agencies add value? Is there a positive ROI, return on investment? And if the answer is no, if you can eliminate a department or an agency and the results, the outcome, the performance, there's no degradation in any of those areas, you don't need the agency. It's wasteful spending. And I love... one of the things Vivek mentioned during the primary debate, the very first one, was zero baseline budgeting.
He looks crazy to me. He's like an old man with a young man's eyes. Like a young dude is trapped in this old body. It's crazy.
Which a lot of businesses use, whereby you don't just roll over expenses from the prior year. You start every year with no expenses, and then you start to add in what's relevant at that point in time. And the issue with our government is we have a track record of allocating money to certain programs, and no matter how unsuccessful those programs are, we keep putting money.
Yeah. And Congress is going to also...
Why does Elon always have a ridiculous smirk on his face, like he's up to something?
Be assisting here in its own role. Look, this is one way to really start attacking the $36 trillion in debt. Jonathan.
Yeah, this is great that we're doing this. And something similar was tried in 1982 called the Grace Commission. And they found out that 1/3 of every tax dollar was either wasted or abused or was just basically lost. And what happened after that? Well, we still have the same problem. But I think it's different with Vivek and Elon Musk because they've done things that no one's ever done. I mean, Elon Musk started a car company from scratch and is the most successful, most valuable car company now. So I am optimistic, but it will be hard. But it's very well worth doing, and everyone agrees there's waste and abuse.
Great
exactly.
idea.
Okay, it's about time. All right. All right. Well, that's it for that. We're gonna tackle that story next.